Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour. I am Dave Slusher. I'm here with my companion, Kreg Steppe. Welcome, Kreg.
Hey, how you doing, Dave?
All right, we've got something that's extremely jacked on the VM. Let me see if I can figure this out right quick. We are showing, what we're showing is very weird. Skype has changed itself yet again. So why don't you introduce yourself, Kreg, while I try to figure this out.
Yeah, so my name is Kreg Steppe, and I work at ServiceNow along with Dave and everybody else. So I've been here for 4 years, actually 4 years in April, so not quite, so 3 years and 11 months. I'm a senior curriculum developer in the education services, scratch that, training and certifications. We changed our branding on our group. And I'm in charge of spinning up all the instances. If you take any training or have experienced any training with ServiceNow, such as like Add Knowledge or any of our training classes, that's my handiwork in the background. So I work all the VMs and allow the curriculum developers to build out labs and all that good stuff. So that's what I do at ServiceNow. And I've had a background in orchestration and a lot of programming and you name it.
All right. I think I have got this fixed. I got this fixed just in time to. There we go. There's your beautiful face there, Kreg. All right. Ugh. I figured out what it is. I picked up the wrong Skype window. So that little floaty inset. That's why I had this tiny one that was just me. That's the one that OBS picked up. So there you go. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your intro, Kreg, which we couldn't see as I with it. I'm Dave Slusher. I'm developer advocate with the ServiceNow developer program. And again, I'm at this point doing, because our compatriot Josh Nearius has moved on, I'm kind of doing the whole job by myself, which is why we're getting about half the live coding happy hours of about half the quality. So there you go. So what we're going to do this week is we've had this ongoing thing that we've been trying to do. I was looking back at when we started. I want to say it was before Thanksgiving when we started this. And the ultimate goal is to, from a ServiceNow instance, we want to be able to do everything associated with bringing you this broadcast that we're watching now. So we want to enter the metadata on our instance a single time. We want, entering that metadata, we want to press a button and have it schedule this broadcast on YouTube, okay? We already have an instance that manages all these things. Right now, we're doing double entry. We enter the metadata on our instance, then we cut and paste it over to YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. So step one is we want to use that to do the scheduling. We also want to use the integration from ServiceNow to do the actual execution. So we want ServiceNow to actually be bringing up the Google Compute VM that we're using right now. Ideally, like the orchestration stuff that we have been doing the last couple times is so that we can actually have orchestration starting Skype, starting OBS, starting the broadcast. What we're going to do right now is I was going to take an experiment and try to get us using to see if it was easier to use with a Linux desktop. The short answer is no, because I was not even able to set up a Linux Google Compute VM that had a desktop that I could VNC into, which is why I was trying to do that up until about half an hour before the show last week, and I got nothing to show, and I'm not ready to do it. I had to cancel the show at the last minute because I got literally nothing I could do for it. Yeah. So that's where we're at. So before we get any further in that, Kreg, what are you drinking today? I'm quite curious about this.
What am I drinking today? I'm actually drinking Springhouse fine sipping whiskey, bourbon, excuse me, and it's a company down in Charleston, actually, not far from where you live, and it's pretty good. So bourbon, that's been my drink of choice here lately.
There is not a lot of bourbon drinking on this here program, so you are you're pushing the envelope.
I gotta mix it up, man.
So the combination of you drinking bourbon and then me struggling my way through Oauth is going to be it's really going to be something. Oh, so this is one too. If you're watching this is a couple times we've like particularly with the orchestration stuff and the Windows stuff. We were kind of heavily relying on people in the chat some of whom knew significantly more about the Windows stuff than we did as we were trying to do that orchestration stuff the last time.
Well, so, I think the big stumbling block last time was when we could get it to do its thing, but the problem was Skype was running headless. It wasn't running on the desktop. So
Yeah.
that kind of gave us a speed bump, so to speak.
Yeah, and so that was part of why I wanted to see if Linux was easier, but the act of getting the Linux VM was itself troublesome to me. So I'm going to explore a different part of this and kind of take I'm basically deferring the part that I can least get done as often as possible.
What you got there?
I've got an O'Shea's traditional Irish stout.
I like Irish
give this
stout.
a shot. Yeah, I'm going to see how this goes.
I thought it said O'Doul's for a second when you first had the bottle up. I was like, wow. Going light. There you go, O'Shea's.
The O'Shea's Irish Stout. I just saw this at my local Aldi's, and on a complete whim, I bought the little 4-pack, and we'll give it a shot. No idea. I would say from my Irish heritage, but as far as I know, I have 0 Irish heritage. I do have Scots heritage, but no Irish heritage.
Once you start drinking, everything's fair game.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to switch over to sharing my desktop. And we are going to try to get, step 1 is we're going to try to get OAuth. We got to get the OAuth authentication working. This is going to be, again, I've been kind of out of my comfort zone and sweating a lot lately because I've always had Josh available. And Josh is like a really good at OAuth. And I am, what's the opposite of really good? Not really good?
Not prolific, but unprolific. There you go.
a complete novice idiot at OAuth. So I'm extremely worried about this, but we'll see what I can get done here. Make sure I'm sharing the screen. I think I'm sharing.
I'm still seeing you. There you go.
Right.
There we go. There you go.
And okay. All right. So what we got here now, and let me go ahead and turn my camera off. What I got here is, and you'll have to tell me, that might be a little small.
Actually, it looks pretty good to me.
All right, let me blow it up just one more time.
Sure.
So what we've got here is this me with the beginnings of trying to get my Google Compute set up. So I've already I've got a client ID that I created for Google Compute. I've got a client secret that I've created. I'm asking for authorization code. This is as far as I made it kind of in the setup phase here. So what I'm going to do now is, and this is where my gazillion Chrome Windows is going to fight me. I've got one of these that's Josh's. I'm cribbing off of Josh's previously set up one. So I'm going to copy and paste a few things he has. This is I'm doing kind of cargo cult programming because, in fact, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. I'm just really copying exactly what he has on this.
Okay.
We will see if it works, and then again, this might be a kind of thing where I need a little bit of help from people. So he's got this. This is the thing in what we're using to get to YouTube, and I believe that it's all the same. It looks like the same kinds of stuff. So this is the token URL. Ultimately, like phase 1 of this OAuth process, as I understand it, is it's going to take all this stuff, my client ID, my client secret, all this stuff. It's going to hit the token URL and say, given this, give me a token. And then that token is actually the thing that's going to be granting me access.
Yeah, and you give it the token each time you go to do something.
Right, and that's kind of happening under the hood. That's kind of what this OAuth provider is doing, as I understand it. And again, we shall see if it's not. And so this is what was from Josh's. That's not actually my thing. So I got to figure out what.
Yeah, the redirection URL is where it goes once you've been authenticated.
Right. And in fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to submit this because I don't know what number. I'm going to save this record so that I can actually redirect and figure out which developer instance I'm on.
Oh, you can click in the nav bar and slide over.
Well, what I'm saying is I had already cut it out once, and so it wasn't. I needed it to refresh before I could see that. All right, so this is what I'm on. Trying to leak as few credentials as possible. Okay, and I think OAuth entity scopes, and I'm not 100% sure. Let me look at Josh's to see if he's got stuff in here. I might actually also need to set some of these up. I can't remember if this is me, if I've got to do this to ask them. Oh, I do. So I need to create some scopes. What we've got in here, and this I believe is where I'm asking for the kinds of permissions that I want.
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. It's been a long time since I've ever done this. I've used Oauth once, or in ServiceNow. So, but I think you're on the right.
All right. So actually, before I do that, I'm going to do this without this. So I'm just going to save this. It should. No. Now, if I come over here, do I not have a UI action to?
I thought you had a way to test it, right?
Like a test. That's what I'm looking for. Is like a test UI action. I might have to do that on the thing that's. Do that over here.
Hey, scroll down. All the way down. Oauth default profile. Go into there.
Oauth default. Sorry.
You get your mouse right over. Go down. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, go in there. Let's see. I thought there might have been a test in that.
Grant type, profile scope. This is the default. Get the Oauth code. Bip, bip, bip. So this is the scope part that I have not set up yet.
All right, go ahead and cheat on Josh's.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. He's got manage YouTube, and in fact, he's got this YouTube data API. Okay, so that ties back to it. So he's got. Let's just pull in what he's got, and so that's his YouTube.
The scope. Okay, Google APIs, Auth, YouTube.
I'm going to go ahead and, out of curiosity, let's try this. Just naively. It's going to tell me what scopes exist. No. Does not do that.
Josh is chatting. Why don't you just
Josh
join
is in the
man?
chat. Can we?
You need to create a credential and associate it with this Oauth profile.
All right, so I need to create a credential that associates with this. Then credential.
Oauth 2.
Okay. Applies to. Is that right? This can't be right.
You got a mid server on there?
No, this is not. API key credentials.
I think that's right. Just don't worry about the mid server part.
Just don't worry about the mid server. Okay. Let's say Google Compute or LCHH. Oauth entity profile. Let me submit that. Oh, this is the thing. Okay. This is the thing that I was not understanding. Okay, so get OAuth token. Now, if I click this, that's going to be, it's not asking for the scope. All right.
Josh says, this is new specific to the integration hub side of things. In the past, would have tested this from the REST message or method form. Right, of course.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is not going to work until I do a scope. So ask Josh, are you able to join the call? If so, I will call you right now. While he does that, I realized I was talking and getting things together. I didn't even open this beer. So I'm going to take a little Irish stout to figure this out.
I like Irish stouts.
That's good Irish stout. Oh, it's overflowing.
Actually, I like stouts, period.
So good. All right. So I need to figure out how to do this OAuth entity scope. So let's go ahead and let's just call it Google.
He can't join. He can sure chat, though, can't he?
All right.
All right. So you got to set up a scope.
So now how I have to figure out the OAuth scope, which...
is it not their documentation or something?
Yeah, let me get the documentation here. So let's figure out. Request scopes incrementally, blah blah blah.
Is it G class? No. Oh, is it compute? Compute platform? Compute read only?
Yeah.
I think it's
so.
compute.
I probably want this. This is the one I want.
Right. Yeah, right. Do you have to put the whole thing in there, or just the compute part?
I think the whole thing. I think the whole thing.
Okay.
All right. So now I've done that. So my profile has this.
You update.
Can I update? Okay. So now if I look at this, my Google Compute profile has this. Oh, did I not put in the OAuth entity scope? It's on there. Do I also have to attach it to the profile? Let's do that anyway, just in case. It doesn't look like I can. I'm going to go back and try that from the
credential.
All right. Get OAuth.
Do that again. All right, so let's look at the URL. I was just looking to see if it was the right spot. This is invalid request. So need to add the scope to the profile.
Need to add the scope to the profile. All right. The ghost in the machine. Add the scope to the profile. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you just hit the. There you go.
So wait a second. This is a reference field, right?
Yes. It found it. There you go.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So we go back.
You accidentally typed in the name field. That's all right.
All right. So if we go to this guy, get OAuth token.
The broken robot.
The redirect does not match.
The redirect URL?
The redirect URL does not match the ones authorized for the OAuth client.
Oh, so you probably have to go into compute and set up the dev 20 whatever, 205095.
All right, let me go ahead and do this.
As an authentication source.
Okay. So I'm doing this over here.
That's what my Bourbon's telling me.
Authorized redirect URLs. I see it. Okay.
Yeah, so, that's what my Bourbon's telling me, by the way.
All right. Do I need just the domain or do I need the whole URL? Tell you what, I'm going to give it the whole URL.
Well, you probably look at the ones that are already in there.
Path in your application. Let me, yeah. Well, I don't. This is a brand new thing. So this is not an account that has other ones. All right. So that was on the Google configuration side. Close all these out. We're going to try this one more time after I have configured that. ServiceNow.com, OAuth, redirect do. Oh, did I not hit save? Okay. Oh, yeah.
Whoa, look at that. That's awesome. Back to safety.
If you're the developer, submit a verification. Oh, no. This is a problem. This app hasn't been verified by Google yet. Only proceed. Let's learn more.
Yeah, how do you do verification? Let's see.
Yeah, how do I get around this?
How do I circumvent the security that they have in place? Verification for apps. So you go to Auth app consent screen. Oh, you probably
OAuth consent screen. It's got some optional things. Optional. So all these things are optional.
You can still click the go to unsafe button to bypass that.
Okay. So let's try that again. Advanced. Oh, go to. All right. View and manage your Google Compute Engine resources. Woo! All right. We've done this much. So we are literally at ground zero.
It'll expire
soon.
In a while.
At is this 2:23? Less tomorrow, right? 14:2. Is that in an hour? Okay, that's fine. Be done with this. All right. Having done all of that, now we're ready to begin the real stuff.
Right.
Which is I'm going to create a new application. I'm going to call it Google Compute Spoke. Yes, we want to create that. The idea being that I'm not just doing any of this one-off. Ultimately, the best case scenario is, and I don't know why on this particular thing I can't click that thing.
No, you can't click it because it's kind of like a window where you got to take an action or not use it. If you close that, there's nothing for you to do.
Load this window.
Oh, there you go.
All right, so we're gonna do this. That's all I want is that. So ultimately, if I can get anywhere with this, I'd like to have a Google Compute Engine spoke, that we can go on to reuse and other things. What? Dev 259. 5. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into Flow Designer. Open that up. And I created that application solely to get the scope to exist. So we're going to create a new action. So let's do that. And let's call it let's just call it Start Google Compute VM.
Now, this VM that you're spinning up, what does it have on it? I mean, is it the one that we had Skype and everything on it?
No, this is not even any of those ones. This is just, if I can find the browser window that has it. This is just in my personal account. I've got a couple. None of these really matter. They're just silly.
Okay. All right.
All of them are stopped. So really what I want to do is just connect to my account and make one of these guys start via the API. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Okay. So as you're playing with this, I'm just curious about, because I haven't messed with Google Compute very much. What about cost? How much do they charge?
I think it's cheaper than AWS. I'm not 100% sure. But okay, so here's where part of the we would have to talk to Josh. I'm not sure that I know 100% the reasoning that went behind us going Google Compute versus, we were actually discussing the various APIs earlier.
Right.
The Azure versus Google Compute versus AWS, et cetera, et cetera. There are a lot of choices. I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to assume that my buddy and my former partner thought all this through, and that there was a reason why we decided on this, and so I'm going to continue down this path. It's like none of these decisions are ever set in stone. So here, this is the API call to start the instance. So this is the whole thing. It's got 3 parameters. It's got the project, it's got the zone, it's got the resource ID. Which is just, so basically project name, project, the zone, like the geographic zone, and the name of it. All right. So that's what we would need. That's the minimum information we need to do one of these. And so the kind of the design paradigm in Flow Designer, when you have one of these actions, is kind of like with the Slack integration that we have, that we provide out of the box. Right. We ask you the absolute minimum. We don't ask you for your callback. We don't ask you for a lot of stuff. We just ask for the one thing that's absolutely necessary. So I'm gonna, in fact, name these exactly what they're called. Project, zone, resource ID.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it'd be easier to identify.
Project.
You want to take the word variable out there.
Yeah. Project. Zone. Resource ID. And I tell you where my brain is at. You see this thing that's kind of peeking over here? Every time I look at that out of the corner of my eye, I think it says Fireball.
Take another drink.
Your bourbon has got me thinking.
That's right.
All right. So that's my inputs. All right. So that's the action. Now, given the action, I want to
delete a record. Every one of them. I'm just kidding.
Oh no. All right. I just realized something terrible, which is that on this particular instance,
oh, you don't have a plugin and all.
I don't have Integration Hub enabled. Integration Hub.
Search for Hub.
No. All right.
I'm trying to follow your mouse around, but you're like a spaz on the
Integration Hub. Is this surely this is usable on surely this is usable on personal developer instances, right?
I would think so.
I would think so too. Oh, Integration Hub installer. Okay. There you go. All right, we're going to have to wait a minute for that to install. While we do that, wait that minute, I'm going to have a little drink. Do we have anything in the chat that we can discuss?
No, just Josh sitting there chiding us, telling us what to do.
I'm used to it. It describes my last 2 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, Josh is extremely missed. It's been like less than a month, and I'm going to collapse any minute now.
You'll be fine. You're good.
All right, so what we're going to do, so let's walk through what's going to happen as soon as that frankly, this is ServiceNow privilege in that I didn't for 1 second think about the fact that Integration Hub is not on by default.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's on everything I ever touched, so I didn't think about it not being on. So what we're going to do is we're going to work with an integration once that comes up. So this may take a little bit of time.
It's taking a while.
Let's see. Bum. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and let's go back to this thing. I'm going to cancel. My curious is, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. If I go ahead and create a new, I was wondering if I might have to refresh this whole. Go ahead and save this one in the state that it's in.
Yeah.
I also don't know that that's going to come off that list. So this may. Oh, I heard a ding. I'm going to assume that that's what I'm waiting for. Integration? Nope. No. That is not the email I was hoping for. All right, let's see. Oh, it says plugin successfully activated.
You may have to refresh.
I'm going to go ahead and just kill this flow designer. We'll start it back up. Ugh, I'm just going to give it a crazy URL. Go to a. All right, so we'll start this up. We'll go back to Flow Designer. Okay. We'll go back to actions. All right. There. Yeah. And so now what we want to do is rest. We're going to use a connection alias. Ooh, connection and credential alias.
Can you not hit the plus beside it and add one? Oh, credential alias there.
Can I just create one from here? I have to just create one. Just call it Google Compute.
That's too much.
P, connection and credential. Is it connection and credential or is it just credential?
Jay phrase says, oh, Jay is listening passively. You are doing good, though. Thanks, Jay.
Is it connection? Let's start with credential. Let's just experiment. Let's do this empirically.
Why not?
We're going. Didn't like that. All right. So now we go back to my OAuth. No, I want to go back to my credential. So this is ultimately this is one of those things that's going to be good for me because I've managed to. I'll be honest. I've managed to kind of coast on the fact that I always have Josh around to do this. Credential alias. Did I not create that? Yeah. Okay. So it's scoped. That's why I was not finding what I was expecting. Okay. So let's update it. Let's go back to here. Use a credential alias. Use the Google Compute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a post. Now I got to get myself back here. All right. So we're going to do a post to this URL. And it's one of these things. So it's got post parameters query. Oh, and this is a weird thing.
The body may be empty.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's weird to me that this is how Google does these things. Empty. We're doing a post with an empty body and yet a everything.
Well, that is kind of weird because whenever I've done some stuff with AWS, for example, at least they return you like the ID, and that kind of thing. So at least you can start putting stuff into your CMDB.
Yeah. So we're just going to build these dynamically out of using the cannonball.
The old cannonball.
All of these, we get all of these out of the inputs. Query parameter, and let me go back to query parameters. And this is you can give it a GUID as a request. I don't really want to because I don't even want to have to generate this thing because it has to be a valid UUID. So I don't even want to deal with it. The only reason to use this is if you might do them concurrently and you need to differentiate between which request you're talking about. Right. We don't have that. We don't care about that. And so body is empty. And so this is all we want from that. Now, let's see what the return is. Because I think the response body is going to be this. Are we going to get... Well, you know what? Let's just test it, and let's see if we get a body back. All right, so let's save it. Oh, resource path. Invalid resource path. How do you figure?
Do you need to put the HTTPS and everything on there? I don't know. Or does it some of that?
Invalid resource path. Out of curiosity, what happens if I don't think that's the part. Oh, that was
That's what I was thinking. It was adding
but
it appends that to
path.
Yeah.
That's the path and the base URL, but that is not
because you're using
Define connection in line. Let's do this. That's why. Because that's the whole. That's now I understand that credential and connection. Because I was basically saying use the URL from the use the domain from that. This would only I think you would only want to do this if this was a function, like a different user might be hitting a different like say you were configured, say you were hitting ServiceNow instances where the user, like you might have a different user might be hitting a different instance. I think in that case you would use the connection from the alias.
Well,
in this case, it's the same
credentials. I think the credentials are based on the base URL, because if you had a different directory that you were hitting and it maybe give you a different credential, you'd put that in the base URL so it would append the resource path. Because if you hit that resource path, it may not ask you for the prompt. You want to talk to the base URL, get the credentials, which is the token, and then that's how it looks up the token, I think. I may be off. I don't know. Like cookies. Cookies have a path like that.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to do a compute test flow. And it doesn't really matter what let's just do that. I'm actually just going to do the testing, so it doesn't really matter. Where is my newly created? I'm probably gonna have to. Do I have to publish before I see it over here? I might have to publish. Let's go ahead and publish.
Bourbon says it's okay to do that.
You're a Bourbon. Has more idea what's going on than me. All right. All right, there we go. Okay. So now we're going to do that. Now we're going to start filling this with the stuff from my particular
your environment.
My environment. And no, that's Josh's thing that we're pulling off to the side. Now, if I could find in my forest of browser windows, this is the one. All right, this is the guy right here. Would you believe I can't find
project ID right in the URL?
Yeah, there you are. So LCHA. So this is what I want. That's the project.
Mm-hmm.
The zone is US East 1B. And the resource ID is, let's just do LCHH Linux.
See, Mattias Johnson says, or I'm trying to figure out where this context. He says, or show draft actions from COG. Mini
show draft. Oh, okay. I didn't even think about that. Okay, I'm gonna go. We'll do done. So now that's really all we're gonna do is we're gonna do a run once. We're just gonna do test. All right. Are you ready, sir?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Go for it.
All right, let's run the test. That's actually good that it's taking this long.
Says it executed.
Says it executed, and then
do we see any return?
This is where, and again, Josh usually does this. So where's our executions? Is this the thing I want to do? Okay. And the step.
Look at that. Well,
we got something.
Method failed.
All right, let's see. Compute zones East 1B Linux start. Method failed.
Should we
code
get that right? Should
404. Let us double check the values from over here.
Hey, good thing is we didn't get like credential, authentication error or something.
Yeah, this is actually like not at all a bad error for the very first time that we've done this. Well, how can I get these on the screen at the same time? Let's try this. So compute v1 projects blah zones US East 1-B instances LCHH Linux start. All right. So that doesn't look crazy to me. The compute Google's API.com/pute v1 projects project. Now the question being, is the project there is a possibility here in that maybe the project is not that is it LCHH 1944008 or just LCHH? Let me look at the name of my project. If I can find that. It might just be LCHH. That's the ID. So here's a question. Is it the ID or the name? Let's look at the docs. Project ID for this request. So that should be right. The name of the zone, name of the instance resource. So this is, I think, the correct thing, LCHH. So I'm not worried about that. And the name of this thing, LCHH Linux. Find connection inline. So pretty much, so post that and that. Let's see.
Well, look at down there, status code 404.
404, right. But I think that's just saying that this combination of things, it's not recognizing.
All right, I'm getting the feel. Hey, whoa! I wonder if you need the first slash.
Oh, that may actually be. That is completely plausible.
Yeah, 404 is what concerned me.
Okay. Let's save that action. Let's see. I'm absolutely willing to save that. All right, let's reload the flow. Oh no! What happened to my?
You got to publish it again?
No, my flow. I didn't. Did I not save? I tested but didn't save. All right, that's a rookie mistake. All right, we'll do a run once. We'll add the action. Unfortunately, this means I have to put that stuff back in. You're not going to be good enough to remember that from last time, are you? No,
LHCC. It's at the end of your. It says project ID right in the URL.
Yeah.
Josh says you had to drop. Had to drop out for a bit, but I think you needed to find connection instead of the inline. Yeah, I think we got that part. We're past that, Josh.
US- East 1-B and LCHH- Linux. Let me make a point of saving this before I do anything else. All right, we'll save this joker. And we're going to test it again. Whoa.
There. Hey, I don't see. Oh, there we go.
There's our failed again. Same thing.
Look, it's still got the slash there.
Yeah, and that's after I edited the action. I think that may just be built in. I don't think that the slash
I don't know. Look, it's still in your string there.
Well,
maybe you need to close that all out and.
It's not here. What I'm saying is, even if it's not there, I think it's going to put it.
Well, when it combines everything, it will in the background. I think you're. I'm not 100% sure that other tab is pulling that in.
Let me go back and look at, out of curiosity, Let's take everything from this. Let's go back to here. So that's the instance start. Out of curiosity, let's try the identical parameters in their API explorers. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
So I'm just going to cut and paste, literally cut and paste from that. Watching a guy arrange his windows. This is thrilling on a Friday night. All right, here we go. What I want to see is if this will show us the URL and if we can see if that URL is in any way different from what they're getting.
Yeah.
All right. So that's their API Explorer. Let's execute.
Engage. Execute.
All right. So I'm OAuthing back to that thing. It says 200. And it started. Now, is it going to show me...
So you know you got your parameters, right?
The parameters are right. Yes.
All right, look at the...
Now, if we go and look at the actual this page, if I go and look at this, it should say that it's starting, right? I don't see anything that says it's actually starting.
Internal IP.
It does not have a... let's do monitor. Can I monitor that?
Click the refresh at the top.
Nope. Look at that. It did start. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go ahead and shut this guy down just to make sure that... all right. So those parameters are not the problem. We know that those are right. The question is what I would like to see.
Yeah, look at what your so it says Google APIs /compute.
Oh, look at this. I think I've got the wrong I think I've got the wrong base URL.
Yeah, look even right there. Yeah.
All right, so if I go back over to here, compute googleapis.com versus googleapis.com, compute. Let's try that. Let me close out.
That might be why it's given the 4.4, but because when it combines those two, it'll be like in the total wrong space.
Yeah. All right. And now, if I confuse myself to the point where I cannot find it. All right, let's close out these guys. Close out all these other executions. Close out that. Go back here. We're going to test again. Oh, we're in the flow. That actually seemed too fast. I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign.
Let's see. Steps logs.
Whoa. Method failed. Compute Google. Wait, what? That's still going to the compute Google API.
I think you got to close that that tab.
Oh, you know what? I didn't republish.
Of course. That was what I was wondering. It's kind of like orchestration.
This is like very much like a workflow, right? Is having published. This is where I shouldn't have published in the first place. As I was saying, if I had used this from the cog where I could do draft, then I wouldn't have. Now I'm stuck having to do this every time. All right, I screwed myself on that. So the suggestion of not publishing was actually a good one. All right, let's look at it again.
Post method
failed, but we got a 401.
Yeah, so you're getting closer. I wonder if we need this slash in there now. I don't. Yeah, I don't think I added it. That's probably stupid. Yeah, say method.
Just out of curiosity, let's put it back, just because I think the problem was I was going to compute APIs before. And in fact, I think actually it may be something has changed. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly where I got the compute APIs from the first time. I may be looking at an old version of docs, or who knows. All right, let's do this right quick just to make sure. And now the next thing is if it does this, if I get a 401 this time, I'm going to go back here to my OAuth credential.
You change the compute.
14, yeah, verify OAuth configuration. Get a new token. Is this literally saying that it's expiring in? It's saying it expires in an hour, right? Is that what it's saying? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what time zone it's talking about there. Maybe if it's talking about the instance time zone. All right. Close all these guys. I'm going to actually, okay, looks like it's reloaded. I'm going to test it again. All right, there's our execution of the flow. There's our steps. Post. Method failed. Still got
Okay, look, you get an auth error. I wonder if you need to swap out the URL for the OAuth stuff and make it Google APIs instead of. Didn't you use compute and all that in the OAuth settings?
Possibly. Let's go back and see. You're saying in the
When you set up the OAuth.
The application registry, you're saying in this guy, Google APIs. You're saying in this profile? Or in the scope?
You had it right there. Okay. It says Google APIs.
Google APIs. Google Compute. Google APIs. Manage tokens.
Manage token that you just got.
There's the token. Is it the fact that this token... I noticed this token has no scopes. Is that a problem? Should this not have some kind of scope in here? View and manage your Google Compute. Auth Compute. This feels really close, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does.
So
I mean, you're getting
credential alias. At this point, I'm gonna strongly suggest that this has got to be me doing something wrong in the OAuth stuff. It's pretty much to me. So we get authorization code grant.
Since Josh isn't here, we'll just blame him.
Yeah. Well, at some point, I got to be the big boy. I got to be able to stand on my own 2 feet.
I'm pretty sure the issue is still related to how the connection is defined. You have a credential, but it's not associated with the rest step in the action.
So what you're saying is over here in the action, define connection inline, saying part of this in the credential alias. Is that what we're saying? Credential alias. Connection and credential aliases. So we've got this, which is of type credential. Credential alias is tied to this, right?
Need to create a connection instead of defining the connection in line.
So create a connection in here. Connection attributes. connection and credential, create connection attributes, which would be, what are my types here? Ooh, I have no idea what this is. All right, I'm in over my head. Do a new connection.
Oh, that's where you can even specify use a mid-server if you wanted. Google. Connection URL. That connection URL will be the base URL, so I guess that's the googleapis.com.
So
Says
that
you
would
can
be
still,
this.
yeah. You can select the credential here.
All right. Well, I've
You did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You
As
did.
far as I know, I've got this as tied together as I can. All right. URL builder. I don't want that. All right. We're going to do this. So now over here, instead of defining connection inline, I'm going to use connection alias. I don't know that changes anything for me.
Click on that drop down in the connection and credential alias. Yeah, select that again. Okay.
You'll notice it filled in the base URL for me.
It did, yeah.
To the exact same thing I had before.
It makes sense, I guess.
I'm actually wondering if I'm missing a header here. Am I supposed to put the Oauth? Am I supposed to put the Oauth header in here? I'm going to come over to.
I have a feeling because you defined it all, when ServiceNow goes to do it, it's going to apply that credential.
I'm going to. I'm going to look at Josh's.
The difference is that now the connection you created with the OAuth credential you associated with.
Mm-hmm. So looking at that.
Oh, see, the connection you created will use the OAuth credential you associated with it. So I think you're fine. Right. I think it knows.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead. You know what I haven't done is I haven't tested this since we've. Let's go ahead and so I've saved that.
That's what I was getting at. Now that it knows the URL and here's the credential to go with it, when it goes to use it and it's asked for it, it'll.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and test this again. Let's see what happens there. View that flow. View the steps. And
look. There you go.
Honestly, well, thank you very much for that that suggestion, which was clearly the winning one. And I do not understand why that was the win. I straight up don't understand why that worked. And
wow. Cool.
It started. All right,
so now reverse the process to terminate it.
Let's give that. Who was it that made that suggestion?
Mr. Nurius.
Oh, that was Josh. Okay,
yeah.
This is what now I have to debrief with him later on because I literally do not understand what was different between where we defined the connection in line. So over here, where we define the connection in line using this base versus using the connection alias.
Well, I think
filled in the same base.
When we define the credential here, it didn't know what credential. I'm sorry. When we define the connection here, it didn't know which credential to use. But when you created the alias and said, "Here's the credential, here's the base URL," when ServiceNow is asked for it, it goes, "Oh, this is the credential that goes with that."
Interesting. Okay. Well, we have now the very beginning of there's an action that starts a Google Compute VM. And so, tell you what, I've got time. My family is all out of the house. Do you got a little time?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes.
I got a few more minutes too. Let's do this. Now that we've got this, we should be able to do exactly the same thing.
You could probably copy.
I literally just copied that.
Yeah.
Let's call it stop. Google Compute. Let's do another action. Create the same input. Project. Zone. Resource.
ID.
Let's do a rest. We're going to use connection alias. We're going to use our connection. We're going to use post. And I think it's as simple as this.
Stop.
And let me come back over and look at the API right quick. Good gravy. Start. Is it exactly the same but with stop?
There you go.
Project, zone, instances, stop. I think it is. So I think we're safe there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save it. I'm not going to publish it. I've learned my lesson. We'll go back to compute test. What can do I have a pause type thing? And what was the thing about the cog? In the cog, I use the draft. In there. Show draft actions. That's what I wanted. So then when I add an action, I can do that. And we put the same stuff in there. No. I picked the wrong thing from that. I want the inputs. What am I doing wrong here? Stop. Go. Oh, whoa. I was putting that in the wrong spot. So in Google Compute, I'm going to put in a stop. Wait. Why am I not able to?
I don't see your inputs listed anywhere.
Well, it should be. If I look at this. Oh, whoa.
You just typed them in.
I just typed them in. You're right.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can. Well, I'll just type them in again. I was going to say, is it possible to get them out of the I'm confusing myself about what level I'm in here.
Yeah, it is a little confusing, but you're almost done. One more cut and paste and you're good.
All right. So we'll do that. We got to switch them back around because I've accidentally swapped them. All right. So now what we've got the run one, we got the start, we got the stop. Come over here. I'm going to stop this again. I'll stop this by hand.
Whoa. What? Let it do it.
No.
How do you want to do that?
Because it's going to stop. Oh. Well, because it's already running. So one of the two is going to fail. You know what? You're right. Let's leave it going.
Yeah, you want to check.
Let me we'll test it. So the start should probably fail or give me some kind of message.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stop should actually happen.
Right.
Okay. And this should give me some kind of for 200. You notice actually over here, that thing is cycling. And I think it's working. I think it is, in fact, shutting itself down.
Yeah, go back over there and refresh that.
I'm not even going to refresh. I'm going to let it spin over there. I think it's actually telling me. I think that's what this right here is doing. is telling me that.
There you go. Yeah, there.
Okay.
Thanks, Google.
All right, so I'm going to take that as a victory. So we actually now have, actually, let me stop my screen share, and then we'll discuss this. All right. Okay, well, that was quite an Odyssey. This actually was the Odyssey that I was I
think it went a lot smoother than we thought it was going to.
It kind of did. Oh, hold on one second. Let me stop. I said, let me stop my screen share completely because I'm still seeing it on the screen.
Yeah, I still see. I don't see you. I see the screen share.
Oh, Lord Almighty. How do I stop sharing?
It should be like a stop. You got a little menu that says stop sharing.
I'm not seeing it. File, edit, view. Of all the things to get hung up on today, I can't stop the screen share.
We just authenticated and spun up a virtual machine, and we can't stop the screen share.
I'm telling you, like all these changes that have happened to, like all the UI changes that have happened to Skype lately.
Yeah.
It makes it actually incredibly hard for me to use it now.
Yeah.
All right, I give up. I'm not gonna. We're just gonna look at the screen share on the way out. Okay. So ultimately, so Oauth was of the hour. We got this working in the hour. Oauth was most of the problem, and it wasn't that hard a deal, but it really comes down to, and I need to talk to Josh over why this was the deal. Is that defining in our action, defining the connection alias made it work, where defining the connection inline made it not work. That's the part I really don't understand.
I think the bottom line was ServiceNow didn't know what credential to give for that connection. So when we defined the alias and said, here's the URL, and here's the credential you want to use, after we tested the credential, and now ServiceNow, when it's prompted for for a credential, and here's the URL, oh, this is what you want back, and then it sent it back, and everything is good. So, oh, there you go. I see you now. So, I mean, it's just that association. That's all it was.
Gotcha.
Now, see, the cool thing with this is that you can build some. Now that you got this working, you can build some more things. Like, if you wanted to have a flow go out and get the list of resources you have in your account.
Yes.
What available images, what regions, all that kind of stuff. You could just, basically build out a cloud platform, kind of like what we do. When we do discovery on cloud, it goes out and gets all the resources, what images are available, what security groups, and then you can pick and choose within ServiceNow, and then you know what to push to say, give me this or give me that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like what we have is a pretty simplistic use case, but like you say, it could be a lot more complicated, right? There is just, we just use the stop and start, but there is a list resources. There's a lot of stuff. Or we could be kind of like you do with the knowledge labs. We could be creating a new image and starting the image, right? Mm-hmm. We have all APIs for all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I actually, if I like your Skype machine, you could bring up a Windows box, install Skype or whatever else you want on it, and then I've written workflows that will image the machine, then copy it to the different regions. So that way, if I want to spin it up in Ireland, no problem. If I want to spin it up in, Tokyo, I can. So it copies them to valid regions. So yeah, I mean it's easy. It can be easy.
Well, let's get into like a real world scenario. Let's say I don't know this for a fact, but let's just say that there's like surge pricing in Google. Okay. You could actually go out and say, tell me what region is cheapest right now. Let's say you're doing something like a crypto miner, right? or like we have reasons why we want this to be an east, right? Because we're talking to the Restream intake API. But let's say you literally didn't care. It's a thing that's being spun up for it's an ephemeral instance. It's going to do an hour's worth of work, and you don't care where it is. So you look for the cheapest region. You spin it up in that region, and then you go on about your business.
Sure,
that's a place you could do. That's something you could actually do.
Yeah, and a lot of the services we're not giving for a long time. We're not giving rate cards. So I didn't know through an API how much it costs. It was like I think we even had to scrape the web page to get that data. But yes, you can certainly do that. Or another similar experiences. Okay, for some of these accounts, especially in AWS, you have limits. So how many VMs can I spin up here? How many VMs can I spin up in this region? And then you don't want to spin up 20 when you only have access to 10 more. Then you're screwed. So you basically
geographically balance them so that you're never filling up any of your regions.
Yep. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So this is actually the beginning of some work that we might keep around because we might have a use for this spoke in the future. So I might just start building on this. And so next step is to figure out, like, if I can figure out how to get me so what we've got here is this spoke is reusable as is to start the very VM that we're talking about. All right. So that orchestration stuff we're doing before, we could put this in line with starting and stopping the VM.
Yeah. And I actually have a thought of that. So what if you start a VM, a Windows box, and you have Skype on it, and Skype is set up to start on startup. So it comes up. Then I wonder if we just send the command to make a call, it would work.
That is an interesting. So basically, skip all the orchestration and workflow that we were doing before.
At least as far as starting up Skype, because you want it to start in that environment where it's on the desktop, and we were running it, but it was as a process more or less than a exposed app. So what if you had that and just simply stick it in the startup folder, and Skype starts up, as soon as you boot up. And then we send it a command through orchestration says, make a call.
I see what you're saying. So that gets around the hidden off the desktop problem because so we take that out, we take the starting out, and then we just do everything but start Skype. We just say make call from, we pass it that command.
Yep. Yeah.
That is possibly viable. The other alternative that I want to explore is, can I get myself a working Ubuntu stack with a display that I can desktop into?
I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I just kind of failed at it. I bounced off the earlier attempts. But now the question is this going to be, am I actually going to have the identical problem in Ubuntu that I have in Windows? Which is, if I try to do some orchestration to it, is it going to show up on my desktop, or is it going to be on a process on the machine that's not interacting with the desktop? I might actually have the identical problem. So
yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. There's only one way to find out.
Exactly. And we will stub our toe in public.
Yeah, that's right.
It's funny how, because we have discussed this live coding. I've been in, now at a couple events where we talk about live coding to people, and there really is a break between people who think that this is a great thing to do and people who think this is a terrible thing to do, because you have got to be comfortable looking really, really dumb in public. Yeah. I'm trying to think what it was like 2 or 3 shows ago. I forgot how to query a glide record or something. I mean, something extremely simple.
Right. I'm sorry. I don't have my text expander here. That's funny.
Anyway, how do you rate your bourbon?
I think it's excellent. I'm nearing the end of the bottle. Not today. I've been sipping on it for weeks. But no, I think it's excellent. I think it's smooth. Again, that's the local one from Charleston, and it's pretty good. As you can see, it was really good. Now it's gone.
All right. Yeah, definitely the heartiest drinker we've ever had on this show is Kreg with his down in his bourbon.
That's right.
Sour Stout is good. I'm gonna give it a 4.0. There you go.
I would give this a 4.0 too. This is good.
Can you put bourbons in Untapped? I guess if it's in there, you can enter it.
I don't know. I haven't looked. Have to give it a shot.
Doesn't seem impossible. All right. Any last minute things in the chat that we want to address before we turn this off?
No, just Josh again trying to direct us.
All right. Well, thank you for the help, Josh. Having a wonderful time. Wish you were here. And thanks everybody who showed up, everybody who watches it later. This was a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm gonna steal a quote from somebody in the CreatorCon in the Organizing of Knowledge 18, where one of the business process people said, "If I can learn how to write in Markdown, anyone in this company can do it." If I can figure out how to use Oauth in less than an hour, there's no excuse for anybody not giving it a shot. Because
that's right.
I was so nervous about it. Oauth makes me nervous. Oauth's,
well, there's a lot of data you got to put in a lot of different fields there. So yes, it is.
It's so powerful, and yet it just always feels so fiddly, and I just feel so dumb when I'm using it. And so the fact that we were actually able to pull this off, I've never successfully started in Oauth anything from scratch. Now, bearing in mind, I also had Josh's work to look at, but still, that's I think that's a testament. So if you are nervous about Oauth, exactly like I am nervous about Oauth, this is I think if you fiddle with it a little bit, you'll be able to make it work.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, all right. Thank you, Kreg.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, and we will see you again next time.
All
Bye.
Right. Take care.